As the last part of the day, I would request Gurcharan Das ji to really make a comment on what he actually heard right now. But I would just like to say one thing. As you talk about the faith in Shiva, I've always told my boys that, the finality of the world is about death and end. And when it happens for me, I should actually be part of Shiva in Banaras, because that's where it is actually have to be. Thank you.
Seeing the work, the brilliant work of Veer Munshi, and of Vibhav and Connor, I think what I'm struck with is that India is a state of mind. It's a temper. In fact, if I were writing a book on liberalism, I would say it's a liberal temper, and fundamentally, the civilizational qualities of that temper are skepticism, where in the famous, most ancient Rig Veda, 1500 BC, they're trying to figure out who created the world, and they get into an argument. And in the famous Nasadiya verse, they're saying, well, maybe we should ask the gods. Oh, but the gods came afterwards, so that's no good. Or maybe we should ask the Brahmins. Oh no, they're always arguing with each other. We'll just get confused. And so they go back and forth and finally decide, well, maybe we don't know how the universe or the cosmos was created. Now that's the skeptical gene imparted 1500 BC. And from there you see this developing in the Upanishads, which are basically mental experiments, the Upanishads. And so out of this emerges the Argumentative Indian, which was the title of a book of Amartya Sen, and a questioning attitude which is in the various schools of Indian philosophy. We recently had the largest TV event in the country. The TRPs, I think if they really wanted to monetize them, whoever could be billionaires. But on 22nd of January, we had the inauguration of Ayodhya Temple. And I'm not going to discuss the secular versus the non-secular aspects of that event. But what was striking was the attitude of an aunt of mine. She told me she was crying all day watching it. And why? She said, up till now, I'm surrounded by people like you, meaning me, skeptical, Western and educated people who made me feel ashamed of our 330 million gods, because it was primitive, polytheistic, superstitious. And she said that today I feel affirmed. And she was absolutely right, because what she was celebrating was the notion that the 330 million gods who the Muslim invaders looked down on as kind of a primitive society, and then the English missionaries who came had a similar reaction. She said that what she understood there was, yes, that God at the corner over there, yes, he's a symbol of that one God. And all 330 million gods, that's why Gandhi used to say, well, we have 330 million gods, but we also have one God. And so in the same breath, in a very contradictory statement. So I guess what I'm what strikes me here is the fact that the importance of that day. I was bothered, frankly, and I didn't watch for too long because I didn't like the fact that we were mixing religion and politics. And I'm a child of the partition, and I get very worried when the two mix. However, I could see her point of view, for she had felt ashamed, she said, of being Hindu because all these years, and suddenly she no longer felt ashamed. That was her point of view, and so this is part of this story. I'll quickly just end with one another story, an actual thing that I witnessed myself. And that was once I was visiting Madras, then Chennai now, and I had some free time before my flight. So I went to visit the museum in Madras in Egmore, which is a lovely museum full of sculptures of the Chola period, the Chola bronzes. And I had just come across, there was a beautiful Shiva Nataraja in that. And I was kind of drawn to it by the beauty, the sculpture, as a sculpture. I saw it as a piece of aesthetic beauty. And then behind me came a woman, and she went and placed a vermilion mark on the Shiva. And I was horrified. I said to myself, doesn't she know this is a museum? This is not a temple? What is this? There should be a law against this kind of stuff. Typical reaction of an outsider. And so I moved on and saw other objects in the museum, all beautiful. Occasionally I would get irritated because somebody had not cleaned one of the sculptures. Another one was badly lit. So my niggling mind seemed very petty when I looked back and I saw that she was still there. And I was kind of drawn back to her, and now I saw that she had placed a marigold flower at its feet. And then I thought to myself that what I was seeing as an object of beauty, she was seeing eternity. She was seeing the universe being created in this dance, the Tandav dance of Shiva. And then I said to myself, my God, my pale, faded, secular world on one side, niggling with the quality of lighting and all in this museum, and she is watching the universe being created. And she is in eternity, and look at me. And I was filled for a second with total admiration for what she was seeing. And that's the temper, that's the state of mind. And from that, I took a real lesson. A lesson for a person who is an agnostic, given by a believer. And so I said to myself, no wonder when the Christian missionaries came to Bengal, they were welcomed by the peasants, and who said, Jesus, great idea. Let's make him one of our gods. We'll have 300 million plus one. And they gave the missionaries a choice. Would you like him to be an avatar of Vishnu or Shiva? That's the state of the temper. Anyway, that's really basically all I wanted to say. These are some of the thoughts that went through my mind, and I made a couple of notes, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.